What's going on, Wolfpack Nation? Hope everybody's doing well. Happy Sunday, everybody. Hope everybody had a great bye week. Obviously it was a nice change of pace. Not have to stress this weekend about NC State game. So that was kind of a nice change. But also too, hey, UNC had an embarrassing loss, so that's always a nice tip of the
That's
cap
right.
for sure to the weekend.
Yep.
So thank you all again for joining in and joining with us. So again, we're basically today going to be talking a little bit about the Boston College game coming up, but obviously reviewing ACC play overall. Maybe talking a little bit here about just NC State in general, about how we've done so far, kind of our expectations for the rest of the season. So first of all, I feel like we got to talk about the elephant in the room here, and first of all, Mick and Michael, how nice was it to go into this week and first of all not having to stress about NC State, and kind of have a little bit of a bye week here. And I feel like overall too, going into this bye week, feeling like we're in such great shape. Not really too many bad injuries, where I feel like that we're really kind of lacking. Obviously we would love to have Peyton Wilson, Cyrus Fagan, CJ Clark, but I feel like that they're not necessarily crippling, per se, where it's like we can't bounce back, So
Right.
so it's a nice change of pace. So
Where do you go, Michael? For me, it was nice. It was. I'll tell you what, the games this weekend were insane.
they were
As a
overall.
fan, having
Yeah.
no bone in the fight, you could just pull for who you wanted to pull for, and we can get into a little bit more about how that impacted State. But I'll tell you what, man, that seeing Alabama go down, the ending of that Arkansas Ole Miss game, the Iowa Penn State game, it was awesome college. But when people say that and they say NFL's better, to me, I'm thinking, did you see what?
No way.
Like college football is way better, in my opinion. It just is.
All day.
Yeah. It was. Yeah. I don't know if just because we didn't have to stress about worrying about our game, but that definitely felt like one of the best weekends of college football in a long time. Definitely this year. So it was nice to enjoy it and just watch it. And there was great games the whole day.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, obviously first highlighting, I wanted to highlight, first of all, kind of one game that stood out to me was Virginia and Louisville, because first of all, I really wanted to bring up how, Louisville had that game, then all of a sudden in the fourth quarter, Virginia came out of nowhere and won it, scored 3 touchdowns, was 21-3 in the fourth quarter and won that game. And I just feel like, to me, that just is a kind of another, kind of, what's the word, kind of a poke, in the ACC, because, Virginia overall this season hasn't looked too great. Louisville's looked solid, has had some great wins overall, but then losing to Virginia at home, it definitely makes you kind of, again, it's just like, where are we in the ACC right now? Who's good? Who's bad? I don't know. It just kind of.
That game in particular, Virginia threw the ball so much, and for a team that throws the ball as much as Virginia does, they can make those kind of comebacks. They just have to have the right plays happen.
Yeah.
To me, that's more of a. I thought that game was a statement of Louisville is. I think we can at this point we can kind of know, and I like to talk about this, like the whole what do we know now? It's week 5 or week 6. What do we know about each team? I feel like that to me tells me Louisville still has some missing pieces. And as far as they got some things they got to get fixed, and then Virginia is just. I feel like you just have to be careful with Virginia. They barely beat Miami, but they beat them on the road. They barely beat Louisville, but they beat them on the road. Quietly, Virginia is sneaking into a potential battle between them and Pitt. For the Coastal. So,
Brennan Armstrong, he's one of the top 5, definitely 5 QBs in the ACC, if not top 3.
Brennan Armstrong for sure right now, because again, Sam Howell, and we'll get into Sam Howell later, but
he's got the stats.
Exactly.
But before we move further, we want to take a second, because our guest here just joined us. We wanted to, we made a tweet about a special announcement that we wanted to announce here on our live stream with us today. So we want to bring on here Anthony High. For those who remember, was actually the winner of our giveaway winner for the Clemson game. So we had about 100 people enter. Anthony won, and so Anthony, can you hear us? Hope you're doing well today, my friend.
Yes, sir. I can hear you.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, first of all, I'll kind of set the stage for you again. And I'll kind of let you take over and kind of tell your story. So again, Anthony, so you and I have met actually on that Friday for me to give you the tickets, and then you went, if I'm not mistaken, with your son, if I'm not mistaken, to the game, the Clemson game. Am I correct on that?
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
great. Awesome. And then so I'll kind of hand it to you to kind of tell your story, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Okay. First of all, I want to thank you guys for giving me this opportunity. I thank you guys for me being a winner of the Clemson tickets.
Yeah, man.
Going to the Wolfpack games is always special for our family. But looking back now, I'm gonna tell you why those tickets were really special. Like I said, September the 25th was the Clemson game. I was the winner of 2 tickets and a parking pass. Took my son with me, and not knowing that my brother was actually bringing his family. So once I got to Carter Finley, I learned that my brother had his family there, and we connected right before the game started. And just something that we always done. We always attended Wolfpack events. We always had a good time in Carter Finley watching the Wolfpack play. But sadly, I must say, the very next morning, I lost my brother. He passed away the very next morning. So looking back now, that was my last time spending time with my brother in Carter Finley, watching the Pack get a big win.
Wow.
Wow. And because too, remind me, so basically he went into work that morning and he was complaining of chest pains or something like that. Am I correct on that, Anthony?
Right. We enjoyed the game, like you said, Saturday night. Sunday morning he got up and went to work. After being at work a couple of hours, he was complaining about chest pains, and he took himself to the hospital. And getting to the hospital, he didn't make it. He had heart failure.
Man.
Wow.
Man, I'm
sorry to hear
we're
that.
very
man.
sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
We're very sorry to hear that.
So Anthony, and kind of for the sake too, I know that your brother, he was a huge State fan. Actually, has a huge connection with NC State. So kind of tell us a little bit about your brother and his connection to NC State, if you don't mind.
Okay. So my brother was an amazing human being. He was an incredible guy. He was the best brother, and I must say that we were fortunate and blessed to have 2 incredible parents. My dad, Dexter High, and my mom, Jackie High. They raised us to be respectful, and they raised us to be great human beings. So my brother was an amazing student in the classroom, and he was an amazing athlete. And leaving Southern Edge High School, our old high school, he got a track and football scholarship to Western Carolina, but then he transferred to NC State, and he ran track at NC State and done great at NC State.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Well, so again, I mean, it's awesome to hear, that connection. And so that's why I wanted to really just bring you on. I mean, first of all, again, to kind of let you share your story, your brother's story, which is an amazing one, say the least. And, by no means are we trying to bring you on here just to, highlight us. I mean, at the end of the day, we're thrilled that we were able to make that happen, and kind of the luck fell in the favor that, we were able to get you and your son those tickets, to enjoy that awesome game with your brother. And, man, I mean, just absolutely, it just kicks. And I mean, I don't know if you can see the chat, but Travis, says sorry for your loss, and so.
Right.
So in honor, and so Anthony, if you wouldn't mind, kind of giving us your brother's name.
His name is Derek Antoine High, but we all called him Bougie. B-U-J-I, Bougie. Everybody known him as Bougie. But he was an amazing guy. Yeah,
love it.
Bougie.
I love it.
You gotta say it with a little bit of mustard on it, man. It's a little bit.
You gotta put a little mustard on there.
I love it. I love it.
He transferred to NC State and ran track, and pulling up some of his stats last night, man. And his name is on about maybe 7 or 8 records that he set while he was at NC State running track.
Wow. That's amazing. That's unbelievable.
Wow. Yeah, man.
Well, so Anthony already knows this, and we're going to let you guys know as well. They're tuning in with us, and those who are listening or watching afterwards as well. So in honor of Bougie Highs, we're going to be doing an annual giveaway every single year where we're going to pick one game, probably the biggest game of the season, and we're going to be giving it away, giving 2 tickets away in honor of him. And one thing that I actually discussed with Anthony that we wanted to do is we wanted to do something in honor of him that he would appreciate. And one thing that Anthony said was that given to the Jimmy V Foundation would mean a lot to him and mean a lot to his family. So what we're gonna do is so for that game, and so what we're gonna do for this season is for the Carolina game this year, we're gonna do it in that you don't have to retweet us, you don't have to be a follower any means. All you have to do is you have to donate at least $5 to the Jimmy Fien Foundation, and we're going to be working with the Jimmy Fien Foundation to figure out a way to make it so that way we're notified, and we'll work out the details as well. But wanted to go and kind of give you all a heads up about it, and also too to keep an eye on an annual basis that we're going to be doing something like this. So again, raising money for a great cause with the Jimmy Fien Foundation, and again we'll select the winner just like we have so far, but. I feel like that. I mean, in this case, in our Bougie, who obviously tragically left us way too soon, especially with his ties and how much he loved NC State, and with how special it was. That the least we can do is every single year in honor of Bougie, and also too in honor of all Pac fans who love NC State to death. Is that we're gonna at least pay back and for a great cause, raising money to fight cancer. And just like Jimmy V said, if you live, laugh, and cry every single day, that that's a heck of a day. That's a full day. I think that we all can say that on that Clemson game and on Bougie's last full day on this earth, that he laughed, he thought, and he cried. I mean, no doubt about it.
And
No doubt
if I may,
please.
Right before that fourth down, Clemson had the ball. Right before that fourth down, I looked over because I could see him where he was sitting in his seats. And that ball went in the air. And as soon as that boy missed that ball, man, I looked over at my brother, and all I saw was just celebration, man. And that does my heart well, because my last vision of him was celebrating in Carter Finley, and I know he was happy, man.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's awesome.
That sends shivers down my arms, man. Ugh,
I know.
Man, that's amazing.
And as a matter of fact, let me show you guys something. I framed my brother's obituary, and I also put the parking pass from the Clemson side of my frame, because I'm gonna remember that forever, man. I thank you, thank you from the bottom of my heart for making it happen for us.
Wow,
that's so cool, man. That is so cool.
Oh
yeah.
I'm speechless, Anthony. I don't know what to say, man. I'm on virtuous, man. It's amazing, dude. So again, it's the least what we could do for you guys. And again, I see a lot of it seems like family members who are here tuning in with us, saying that So again, just to all the family members that are tuning in, to you, Anthony. I mean, I know from us, Tuffy Talking, I know from Wolfpack Nation that we love you guys, and definitely are praying for you all, and thank you so much, you're part of the family always, man. So again, for those tuning in, make sure to keep an eye out again for the UNC game this season. We're going to be doing the giveaway in honor of Bougie High, and keep an eye out for all the details. But please keep the High family in y'all's prayers if you wouldn't mind. And thank you so much. But thank you so much, Anthony, for joining us, and we'll be talking soon.
Hey, absolutely. And before I go, please allow me to say gratitude to everybody that has been sending me and my family messages, sending their condolences. My brother's old friends, his old teammates, even his old coaches are reaching out to us, and all my family and my friends that's supporting us. Our hearts are with you guys forever. Thank you so much for everything.
Yeah, man. I'll tell you what, we're just at least hoping considering circumstances, you and your family have been able to have some great, fellowship and hanging out together, and sharing some good memories of Bougie. So that's cool.
Yeah, man. Thanks a lot, man. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks so much,
coming on, Anthony.
We love you guys. Go Pack, man.
Go Pack.
You all. Go Pack. Oh man, guys, that was I mean, I know for me, but I'm sure for everybody tuning in, that was, I mean, that hit me for sure. I think that hit all of us a little bit there. So but again, for all those that are chatting in right now. We definitely love all you guys. And again, whenever we lose anybody in Wolfpack Nation or anybody, anybody in general, but specifically a brother or sister, a part of Wolfpack Nation, it hurts, especially somebody that we lost, definitely early, a guy like Bougie for sure.
And I'm going to add this too. It sounds cliche when you say people say those kind of things, but you don't know. And I'm not trying to toot our own horns because it could be for anybody, but you don't know the little acts of kindness. In this case, he just won something.
But
you don't know. You don't know what time you've got left on this earth, and that kind of thing. Especially in this case where he got to have a special memory. I can think of my own brother. Me and him got to share a special memory back in 2012 when Florida State came to town. I mean, I can't imagine. So I'm really thankful they got to have that memory together.
Well, and especially too, because it's not like that we necessarily picked Anthony. It was literally, for all those who have seen how we give away, it's a spin of the wheel and it's automated and it picks it for us. And so, what are the odds and how amazing?
You could say it was meant to be for them to hit that ticket.
Oh, it was 100% meant to be, 100% meant to be, and couldn't have asked for it any other way. So, thank you all again. So, again, really wanted to go ahead and highlight Anthony and his family and Bougie, and so once again, please make sure to keep in touch with us, keep an eye out, and as we get closer to UNC game, we will be rolling out all the details. So make sure to keep an eye out for that. And also make sure to keep it keep the High family in your prayers for sure. So jumping back in a little bit, I know again that that for ACC purposes specifically, again, so we talked about the Virginia-Louisville game, and then the Notre Dame Virginia Tech game. I think we got to talk just a little bit about that. I mean, I feel like actually talking, I'm going to kind of put two games into this bubble, but the Wake Forest Syracuse game and the Virginia Tech Notre Dame game, I kind of look at them in a very similar aspect where at the end of the day, I felt like, well, first of all, the teams that were underdogs were at home. The teams I felt like overall played the best overall game was the team that lost and lost barely. I feel like Syracuse overall was in a position to win, and same thing Virginia Tech. They were in a position to win, but they couldn't pull it out. And it's so I feel like that, and because I remember seeing, like, looking on social media for not only Justin Fuente of Virginia Tech, but also Dina Babers of Syracuse saying, listen, if they blow this game, they're in hot water. And I feel like, Dina, man, it's just, again, they had it. They were there, but they just couldn't pull it out.
I'm looking at these stats now. The Syracuse Wake Forest, because for state fans, people don't really think about it, but we had to be pulling for Syracuse because we wanted Wake Forest to get an ACC loss somewhere. But Syracuse had 354 rushing yards to Wake Forest's 96. And they had, now Wake Forest had a ton more passing yards, but if you think about it, and if you actually watch that game, it was like a bunch of, in my opinion, Wake Forest wants to lull you to sleep and then take shots, because most of those passing yards were like 75-yard bombs, 60-yard bombs. And it's like they came in just spurts. So it's like, to me, Syracuse just, I would say for the most part, won the line of scrimmage. Because the rushing yards speak for that. And even Wake Forest, they had an interception. It's just, to me, I think you could see the gap between Wake Forest's ability as a program, like their talent right now as a program, and Syracuse, because Wake Forest was playing terribly, similar to Clemson when they played us. And all they had to do was get their act together. And they did. For Wake Forest, they did. And they executed. But, man, Syracuse played their hearts out if you watch that game. And Virginia Tech played their hearts out if you watched that game with Notre Dame. So,
Well,
I'll say that the bright side for Virginia Tech is that was not a conference loss. It was non-conference. It does not hurt them when it comes to ACC standings, but it hurts for them.
Well, I feel like it hurts a lot for Fuente just because, like, right now, I think that Fuente is in a spot where he really is needing opportunities to buy the fan base over. And I feel like in prime time against a overall college football powerhouse like Notre Dame, who is ranked, to beat them would be huge. And again, just the way that they lost again, because like for again, it just wasn't a clean game. That's the thing. Again, if Virginia Tech or Syracuse played a great game, a solid game, I don't think that anybody would have much to say. But I mean, again, I mean, there's so much left on the field by both teams. So, Michael, I know I want to kind of hear your thoughts on it as well.
Yeah, that Virginia Tech game, they were. I was talking to one of my friends, and he said he thinks they need at least like 7-5. He thinks.
Oh yeah, they gotta get bowl game,
and that's not even guaranteed. He's like, we need like that. And they need that one, and they could have had a big win there because that UNC win is looking worse and worse as it goes on.
But the thing is, I mentioned Virginia earlier. With the Louisville game, the win for them, they're sneaky. But we talk about Virginia Tech and Fuente's in a bad spot. They're second in the Coastal right now. It's not like they're fourth or fifth, and we're talking about this guy's going to lose his job. I mean, they're second in the Coastal. So let me ask you this. Hypothetically, do you think if they were to be a team that goes like 4 in the Coastal and somehow ends up being the team that represents the Coastal Division in a championship game, do you think he loses his job if they go 7-5 or 7-5 or whatever, and 4 of those wins are, is that, how do you feel as a Virginia Tech fan?
No, I know what you're saying. Like, I think 7-5. But if they make it to the ACC championship game, like, I think you have to keep them, right? Like,
sure,
I don't know,
but I mean, again, Pitt is playing great ball right now, and I just so that's what I'm saying is I don't think that we have to worry about that situation because I don't think that Pitt would let it get there, honestly. Anyway, if Virginia Tech goes 7-5, I can almost bet that Pitt will be better than that, But again, it's just a matter of at the end of the day, the opportunities are there, and again, because we can't necessarily look at it as necessarily, just how we're doing or how any team is doing within the ACC, because we all know that the ACC this year is down compared to where it usually is. But but that teams are going to bounce back. Like more than likely, like teams like like a UNC, a Miami. Hopefully more likely one of the two of those will bounce back and get back to where they were. So at the end of the day, if you don't feel more confident heading into even next season, the year after, the things are going to get better, then that's where you kind of have a sign to worry. But again, I see what you're saying in terms of that, especially if you're competing there with the Coastal, that, I mean, it's great, but again, let's put it this way. Us as State fans, we don't have to worry about that for the time being. So, which is great, a great thing. That's Virginia Tech's problem. That's for Virginia Tech talk, and so that's not for us. So luckily enough, we don't have to worry about that.
I'm gonna tell you what though, dude. Like the Coastal always amazes me how wide open it is every single year. Like
it's like even
and
when
to me,
like
it's kind of like it's almost kind of like. I mean, if Virginia Tech could just get get the right coach, and maybe it is Fuente. I don't think it is Fuente. I think now you've had enough time where okay, this is pretty much, I won't say it's a ceiling, but this is what you're going to get with Fuente.
Yeah.
So based on information, you want to roll with them or not? And if they could just get their act together, they're Virginia Tech. All they care about is football, and they could steamroll in the Coastal Division.
I just don't feel like with what Frank Beamer did for that program, that if this truly is the ceiling in terms of how good that a Fuente team can be, I don't feel like Virginia Tech's going to accept that, especially because at the end of the day, Bronco Mendenhall is doing a great job at Virginia. He is.
Yeah.
And I feel like that if again, right now, if you have Fuente and Bronco Mendenhall, I feel like head in the same direction at the same time with the situations that are in, that it'll be a 50-50. Virginia will win half, Virginia Tech will win half, and Virginia Tech fans won't take that. It's just like you said, because Virginia has basketball to fall on. Virginia Tech has Virginia Tech basketball, but then, Dave, let's be real. Virginia Tech could be great, but then, Dave, Virginia Tech is all football. All football.
Yeah. So. Heck, look, they were a top 4 seed basketball last season in the tournament. And I mean, they care. They do care, but it's not the same. It's just not.
No, exactly.
It's like Carolina basketball versus Carolina football. Like they can say they care, and then they kind of do, but when it comes to Carolina basketball, it's like, we all know that story. So
right. Yeah. So in Georgia Tech Duke, I don't feel like, again, we really need to say much about that. Just again, I honestly, it was a shocker to me that Georgia Tech was that close. I know, which if Duke pulled that out, that is like the ultimate, like, throw your hands up, like, okay, I don't understand the ACC. What is going on? Like, how can Georgia Tech do what they've done so far and like with beating Carolina? I mean, not just beating Carolina, stomping Carolina, but then go to lose to Duke. Like, that just wouldn't make sense. No way.
I mean, they're what's his face? Mateo Durant for Duke, that running back. He's so good though. I'm not surprised. And their quarterback, what's his name? Holmgren or something. He's been
the quarterback for Holmberg.
Yeah.
Gunnar Holmberg.
Yeah. He's been. His first name's Gunnar. That's Gunner's perfect QB name.
But the thing is, though, I'm like, if you're Georgia Tech, do you feel good about that win?
Heck no. Heck no.
Yeah, you got an ACC win. It's better than
right.
Ugly win. It's better than a pretty loss. But if I'm a Georgia Tech fan, and now as bad as Carolina's looking, and you got to win against a ranked Carolina team. Good for you, but
well, especially too, because the first thing I kind of think of is like, for example, our win over Louisiana Tech, which a lot of people say was a bad win, but at the end of the day, Louisiana Tech, again, we'll see what happens for the rest of the season, but I mean, Louisiana Tech is a solid team that could beat a lot of teams in the Power 5 this year. But Duke, I mean, again, they lost to UNC Charlotte earlier this year. So, I mean, you can't tell me that a team that loses to UNC Charlotte is a solid team. Like, no matter what they do the rest of the season, there's no way they're a solid team, at least for the rest of the season. But again, it's just a matter of, again, ACC this year, right? I mean, hashtag what the heck ACC. I mean, that's literally the line for the rest of the season.
We got Syracuse. I mean, going back to that Syracuse.
Yeah.
Game. I mean, that's Syracuse, the worst team in the Atlantic. It's all
right.
Who knows?
Yeah. It's all up in the air. We don't know. So, but now we got to jump right into the game, which we all loved. And I know for me personally, I mean, jumped all over. And obviously that is.
Let me ask a question though.
Go for it. Yes.
Can we just talk about the Sam Howell Heisman odds he has now? Because it's looking pretty good to me.
I mean, I don't.
That's what you're talking about, right?
Well, I mean, we got to talk about the Carolina game because I mean, there's so much to talk about with that. But I mean, and more because of the satisfaction side. Because I mean, again, how many UNC fans? Again, I mean, my father-in-law, who I know that he's not watching this, so I mean, I don't have to worry about saying this. But I mean, he's a diehard Carolina fan. He was all talking smack during the offseason about, Sam Howell's like, he's a boss. Like, this team's so good, and like we're going to the playoffs and and all that. It's like, oh my gosh. But again, and so we'll go ahead and jump right into it because honestly, it is the thing that bugs me the absolute most. And that is, how in the heck can you be a Carolina fan right now and be proud of not only just, what, not very proud of what Mac Downs putting on the field, but how he's behaving off the field. Like, how, like, could you imagine Doring? Could you imagine Doring blaming the media for what's going
Carolina's
on?
Playing, it's all somebody else's fault. It's not their fault. It's somebody else's fault who reports what they're doing. It's their fault they're actually playing bad.
Insanity, absolute insanity.
But you can't
Mac
tell me
Brown
that
needs to retire again
into that top 10 rating. I mean,
right.
Look, there's a headline. I sent it to you guys. What was it say? It said, I'm looking at it right now. It was Tar Heels Illustrated. It said the headline going into the preseason. The headline was 5 reasons UNC will make the college football playoffs.
Yep. And for those two who don't,
so stupid. It's so comical.
Well, and for those two who didn't, and let me read the quote just in case somebody who's listening or tuning in doesn't know the quote. So basically, after the game, with Mac Brown, a reporter basically asked him about expectations, how proud he was of or how happy he was with what they've done so far. And Mac Brown said, "My expectation is to win every game. So 3 times we've met it, and 3 times we haven't. The national media's expectation, the expectation for us to be a top 10 team, we're wrong. So I guess we should all be critical of the media for picking us that high." Yeah, I mean,
like,
again, it's just mean? Well, and again, so you're telling me that it's the media's fault for you losing to a 1-4 Florida State that you were, I think, a 17-point favorite to win or something like that.
Here's my thing too. So you mean to tell me that when you were being considered top 25, you weren't just buying into it and pumping your chest out because of it?
Oh,
But
yeah.
now that it's not going your way, you're just like, oh, well,
You're like,
y'all
oh, yeah.
were so wrong.
Yeah,
Y'all
we knew
screwed
it.
us over.
You
were publicizing the crap out of being a top 10 team. So I don't want to hear it kind of thing.
Well, I don't
Go ahead,
know
Michael.
where like the top 10. I get it. Sam Howell is a very good QB, but they literally besides him, they lost their whole offense. How could I don't know.
And Macon, I'm going to give it to you because again, you said that way before the season ever even started. So
okay,
I got to give you credit for that.
Let me get warmed up right here real quick. Just get the thing.
Okay,
here we go.
Yes, give me some stats.
Sure, go ahead. Give some stats.
No. I was saying,
I thought that's what you were about to do.
No. Here's what I'm going to say. This is what I said in the late start. Okay, yeah. Carolina. I don't know how a Carolina team who went 8-4 last season. Again, I'm going to say this probably again. 8-4. They lost their bowl game. The exact same record that NC State had. They had NC State was 8-4. Lost their bowl game. Both to an SEC school, and now Kentucky looks like a pretty good team right now. So
6-0.
They lose that they have 8-4 record to lose their bowl game. In the offseason, their top 2 running backs and 2 receivers leave. That's a total of 4. I think the number was 4,200 yards of offense. So over 4,000 yards of offense. And somehow they're going to be ranked higher than where they were. It makes no sense, but hey,
when they
Sam Howell
the season, it doesn't.
Yeah, but Sam Howell's the man, guys. He's a Heisman win. He's a Heisman contender. Don't you dare say anything different. It's how they want you to be.
Well, and again, it just and I said this from when we watched the Virginia Tech game, which is that UNC is so one-dimensional. I mean, the fact that literally I don't even know the stats in front of me, but I'm sure maybe Megan will be able to bring it up. But I feel like Sam Howell has led the team in rushing yards most of the games probably. I mean, I maybe against Georgia Tech did Ty Chandler really do much? I don't even really remember. But again, I mean, I just remember when go ahead.
I'm gonna say you mentioned Ty Chandler. Rushing yards, they're ranked 60th in the country. So they're averaging 194 rushing yards, which is pretty good. That's pretty good.
60th, right in the middle.
You look at total yards for Carolina is 14th in the country. Really good. 508 yards a game on average. That's really, really good. The points per game, 27th in the country. They're averaging 35.5 points per game. That's that's really good. That's on offense. You get a defense.
Defense is not great.
They are 139th in total yards allowed. They're 114th in passing yards allowed. They're 161st in rushing yards. And points allowed per game, they're 202nd.
Dear God.
So,
yeah.
I mean, I had a conversation with a friend of mine, actually I go to church with. I used to go at my home church, and he was saying, oh, we've got one of the best defenses. Like, they're so good, and the defensive line's amazing. We got the best defensive backs probably in the ACC. I would take ours over NC State's every day. And, like, look, I get that some of their defensive backs are really good. Like, I think is Conley, is the DB for Carolina. He's really good.
Yeah.
And I think there's another guy, I can't think of his name, but you can't. There's glaring issues with that defense in particular. Like, they can score, but I'm gonna tell you what. When it's pretty much the Josh, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on Howell's name. Sam Howell show and Josh Downs show.
Josh Downs show. Well, and that's what I mean. So
15 targets. He got 15 targets against Florida State. I wonder what I bet he's averaging like 13, 12 a game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so 17. So Sam Howell threw 17 completions yesterday. Josh Downs had 9 of those. So again, it literally is just simply, if you're going to beat Carolina, it's simply shut down Josh Downs, keep Sam Howell in the pocket, force him to beat you with somebody else, and that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's 71. Josh Downs has 71 targets on the season. So how many games is that? That would be
6 games. So
6 games. Again, like 12
targets
a game. 12 targets a game. So that's what I mean.
Yep.
Shut down Josh Downs, then force him to beat you out somewhere else. That's pretty much that's half the battle right there. That's half the battle.
Mm-hmm.
So
the thing is, though, I will say this: Josh Downs. I know he's a state legacy player, but that guy is the truth. He is the real
He
deal
is.
receiver. And he's
pretty good.
The thing though is you would think other teams would have thought that by now and have been planning around him. But to me, they're scheming against him, particularly, to take away the passing game if they can. But Josh Downs is still getting it done. He's good, man.
Yeah. Well, because I mean, everybody's tweeting out saying Josh Downs should have come to NC State. But honestly, I mean, the one thing which I do say is, I mean, if he was at NC State right now, I mean, how much would he would probably have a place, but just not a place like he does at UNC. Because I mean, again, we got Mecca, Devins,
yeah, we have a stacked receiving room right now.
We got plenty of wide receivers. Porter Rooks, Keelan is saying like we got plenty of wide receivers. So
yeah, I would think though he would fit in. He would fit in that slot role, and it'd be a battle between him and Rooks, and whenever Thayer wants to leave. Yeah, well, Thayer, I'm saying when Thayer leaves, kind of thing. But yeah,
right,
was this your first year? Or was last year's first year? Downs.
Well,
last year I believe.
Okay, so he would have had to sit behind Thayer pretty much. So yeah. His opportunities at Carolina are way better.
Way more. So I get it. But now for the interesting conversation here, which for those State fans who don't know, is so after North Carolina sitting at 3-3, and the rest of their schedule includes Miami at home, at Notre Dame, Wake Forest, Pittsburgh, at NC State, and then you got a cupcake in Wofford.
So what do you think the record is going to be the rest of the season? But so what you've seen so far, you talk about those games you just mentioned. You said Notre Dame, Wake, Miami, Pitt, and us, State.
Yeah.
I mean,
pray you make a bowl game.
Miami.
Dear goodness, please make sure you make a bowl game.
I would say there's 2 wins in there, maybe, if they can muster it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but oh my god,
if the defense can figure themselves out, they'll be in much better shape. But are you really gonna? You said Notre Dame at home or on the road?
It's on the road at Notre Dame.
Yeah,
Cincinnati did it, but they're not Cincinnati.
No.
And Wake is.
I don't see winning that.
Wake on the road, Wake at home.
Wake at home.
Maybe you get that one. Maybe you get they could beat us. They could beat us. To me, rivalry games. All bets are off. Like no matter what happened in the season, rivalry games. It's like you saw that Texas-Oklahoma game. That was insane.
Yeah.
So
it was insane. Yeah, and again, I mean, I'm just saying, that it's a crazy situation that we're in right now, where we're actually, we're hoping Carolina makes a bowl game. So
So I'm just. Like you said, rivalry games are tough. Though. That game's always going to worry me.
Yeah, but it's beautiful though. We're thrilled as State fans for sure to be in the situation we're in. But again, it's I know that obviously from looking at all the message boards that people are calling for Mac Brown's head, which he
needs to retire again, is what he needs to do.
There's always people who do that.
Yeah,
any message board on any college.
but
again, they're doing the same thing with Fedora early on.
Sure.
Now granted, they were having the same level of success, but they were having some success early on, and then it just fizzed out. And maybe that's what you're seeing here.
Yeah, also if message board people like ran athletic programs, you'd have a new coach every year.
Correct.
That is a great quote right there. Yes, that is 100% true.
Durham would have been gone year one.
Yeah,
that's true. Oh my gosh. All right. I still remember to this day being on the sidelines, and it was the ECU game that we got smoked by ECU. But ECU was a team that year. That was a good team. 2013. So that was when they had
that's last year, or when was last year's?
Like next to last year.
He was still a coach, yeah.
I think 2014 was last year. But I still remember to this day, again, we were getting smoked, and there was this fan. I won't describe them. But he was just screaming like he was on the front row right behind the beach. He was screaming at doing, "Bring back O'Brien! Bring back O'Brien!"
My gosh!
And
you realize what you're saying?
You realize what you're saying right now? Yeah. So, but like UNC right now for the 2022 class is ranked 13th in the country and is ranked 3rd in the ACC. Has, let's see, I mean, a ton of 4 stars, has a 5-star, and Travis Shaw from Greensboro, North Carolina, a 5-star defensive lineman. So it's just, I mean, first of all, I mean, don't be surprised if by any means you see any kind of, recruits being like, oh, okay, interesting, and kind of maybe back off a little bit. But I mean, honestly, all right, so let me ask you guys this. If you're Sam Howell, do you come back next season? Honestly, again, not, and this is not, I don't want
no.
bias.
No,
I want,
no.
okay.
To me, absolutely not. Because I mean, what are you gonna? I mean, how do you know it's going to get any better?
I think he has to though, because I think this year is hurting his draft stock almost.
I don't know about that.
The offense is looking pretty good still.
Well, and because think about it this way. So when Sam Howell had NFL caliber players on the NFL last year, he did really well. But again, let's be real. The offensive line has been at best, and this literally has Josh Downs and has had some halfway decent running backs at best. So that's what I would say, and I feel like that's what most scouts would see is, again, it's
that's fair. I mean, if it was, I guess if I think about it from my position, I would want to go out like on my best year. Even, you can say, okay, yeah, the offense is fine, but the team, it's like not as good. I'd still want to go out,
but the one thing I would say too, though,
season.
But I mean, look at how UNC is using Sam Howell. How many times is he running per game? How many times is he running and getting hit? Yeah, and again, I mean, it's true. like if I'm him, I mean, not necessarily. I mean, that could be his call. Like, Sam Howell could be deciding to do that on his own, which, I mean, that's a possibility. But at the end of the day, obviously the coaching staff ain't doing him no favors, because I just don't understand how they're not telling Sam, listen, like, you're way too big for us to take a hit and get an ACL tear or an MCL tear or something. Like, like if you're going to run, we need you to slide, we need you, we can't get you taking hits like that. I mean, because you're just asking for it. You're asking for it. And especially because Sam Howell is such a key piece that, I mean, could you imagine UNC this year without Sam Howell? Could you imagine?
Who's their backup right now?
Does anybody know the backup's name?
Well, I know Drake May is there, but he's a true freshman. I don't think he's a backup. Yeah. I forget. I'll know it if you say it, but I forget it right now.
Let's look at it. I'm gonna look at it right now.
Let's look at it.
Yeah,
but
I know Drake May is on the depth chart, but that's all.
Yeah. But so let me ask you though, in the meantime though, Michael, so while Mike is looking that up. So looking at how Wake Forest did against Syracuse, did that game affect your opinion on when we do play them? Like, did that kind of add any kind of, I guess, did that change your opinion at all of Wake Forest football so far this year?
I don't think so. I mean, like we said, every ACC game is going to be tough. If anything, it changed my opinion more of our game against Syracuse. That might be tougher than anticipated.
True.
That's
true. That's fair. I agree. And
so before we get there, it's an or. It's like an or thing. So the backup is Jacoby Criswell or Drake May.
Okay, so he's an or.
Okay, but again, that tells you more than likely that they're not really preparing or honestly having in the back of their heads that they would ever bring in somebody else besides Sam Howell. Sam Howell's the guy, period, like straightforward. And because, same thing with us, right now I know I don't even know if I haven't seen the depth chart recently, because honestly I haven't really, there hasn't been really much changes for me to really need to take a look at the depth chart. But honestly, do either of you know right now, is it still Ben Finley or Aaron McLaughlin, or is it Ben Finley and then McLaughlin?
We looked at it earlier in the season. It was an or, right?
It was an or, right? So, but again, I couldn't see under any. I can't even imagine that they would leave Ben Finley on the sideline and put in Aaron McLaughlin. I mean, again, not necessarily saying that Ben Finley's better than McLaughlin or better, long-term quarterback for us. I'm just saying at the end of the day, Ben Finley played against Carolina, looked overall decent, still made his freshman mistakes, which is understandable. But again, I just, at the end of the day, Ben Finley is a more battle-tested quarterback. Simple as that.
Yeah, for sure.
So if forbid, knock on wood, if anything ever were to happen,
it's still an or. Louisiana Tech is an or.
Okay, interesting. So
technically, Ben Finley's listed ahead, but yeah.
Yeah, but again, I just couldn't imagine. But again, that I feel like that's kind of the same situation where it's like, hopefully we don't have to figure out which or it is.
Find out.
Hopefully we just play Leary and leave it at that. So, so obviously, we're gonna and for those who are tuning in as well, make sure to tune in as we have a very exciting and special pair of episodes coming week. So make sure to not miss out. But definitely, want to talk a little bit here about obviously this Boston College game, just because I feel like, especially after you see what's gone on, they see even this week, adding on to what has gone on, see this year, how big of a game that is. I mean, especially it's been 7:30 prime. I can't even like necessarily speak, and I mean just in terms of because of not only just about how big it is for this season, but how big it is for Doran's tenure overall. The fact that they beat for the curse, 26 to get over that, but for college it is huge for this season. I was far for this season particular again just because I mean I feel like that looking at Clemson, looking at Boston College, I mean I feel like that Boston College was going to be a team, especially playing at Boston College, that it was going to be
yeah. I mean, to me,
yeah,
yeah,
sure. Boston College fans are going to show up for that game. It's going to be sorry, man. For those who have been to Boston College, it's
I mean, to me,
you're not going to be wow environments, but you're going to be wowed by the names. Apologize for that.
Yeah,
it's all good. Macon, I'll let you go, man.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I think this game, if I was trying to figure it out, I think it's going to be something like a 4-point favorite for NC State, something that's going to be kind of low than what we thought.
It's 2.
Right now we're a 2-point favorite.
It's already open. It's already opened up.
Yep. Yeah, right now we're a 2-point favorite.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. I didn't see that. So I bet it increases a little bit, but
I think so.
I think it'll probably finish off like what 3.5.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's. I mean, to me, who has more on the line? It's State,
for sure,
and Boston College can kind of play a little bit freer if they want to. And to me, I'm just nervous about going on the road. They've always given us problems. They look pretty good for the most part going against Clemson. They have some flaws, I think, but I don't know. I had to study them some more to get a really in-depth opinion on how they look. But Grosel looks a lot better than I thought he was as a backup quarterback. And granted, they're not scoring a ton of points, but they're going to be they're 4-1 just like we are. Just that they've lost to Clemson and we've won. So to them, they need this win. But then again, we do too. So I don't know, man. I think it's going to be very interesting. I know. I don't know. I think it's going to be very interesting. They've won 2 games on the road. This will be their 3rd home game. I don't know. It'd be very interesting.
Yeah. They won at Mizzou, which I mean, obviously Missouri's not
it's at Boston College.
Oh, is that okay? Well, still, it was still an SEC team, but
sure.
And I mean, so anytime you beat an SEC team, that's impressive. They hung around like you said with Clemson, and Grosel's he's been.
You could argue they should have won the Clemson game. They just fumbled the ball.
Well, no, there's no doubt they should have, but because again, that's really what it comes down to for me is at the end of the day, I feel like that, and I know we said this last week, but I mean, if Boston College can bounce back and compete with us after losing the way they did, and really where they put their heart and soul into the game, but unfortunately they made some really bad errors at really bad times that lost them the game. But I mean, it's especially since they were so close. It's like look at us back in 2016 when we lost to Clemson, and it took us basically 3 games to really bounce back. And we lost to Florida State where we should have won. We lost to Boston College where we should have won. And so if Boston College can bounce back and compete with us, and especially if they could win, holy smokes! I mean, that's amazing for first of all for Jeff Hafley, if he could pull that off. But again, don't be surprised by any means if Boston College comes out a little bit flat. Because again, I understand it's a different situation because they do have a bye week to get over it. But you can't tell me they're still not thinking about it.
That's 2 weeks. That's 2 weeks of thinking about it.
Right. That's what I mean. And
true.
you can't tell me going to that game they still aren't thinking about it a little bit, just a little bit. State doesn't think about anything else besides Boston College. I guarantee you that.
Imagine, so put it this way. You don't think if State had lost again to Clemson, like the way they did, like 5 years ago, whenever it was, that would have not had that taste in their mouth for a while. And how bad it was when we lost in 2016, we lost and we were so close. That's what Boston College just happened. They were so close in Death Valley and just fumbled the ball and lost. That is going to be a taste in their mouth. And to me, State needs to come out and punch them in the mouth and get them deflated.
And get them doubting.
Yeah, early. Get them inflated again. So I don't know what that looks like. I don't want to see these stupid screen passes to start the game. I want to see it mixed up. Yeah. I know Beck will. He, for the most part, like 90% of the time, he has been a very good play caller, I thought. But he's gonna we need to punch him in the mouth early.
I don't mind the screen passes on like first and second down when you can get 4 or 5 yards, but on 3rd and 12 and you throw a screen pass.
Right. That's kind of like a side point. But my whole thing is they need to punch him out early, and they're thinking about it. They are. I would. I'm not a player, but I know I would be.
Yep. Yeah. So we got a couple minutes here. So I wanted to kind of end with a couple of, I guess, superlatives per se. So Michael, I'll let you start off first, but through the first 5 games so far, who would you say has been your most surprising player so far this year? Like who has I guess gone away above and beyond your expectations for them this season? If you had to pick one player.
I'd say Tootle. It seems like Leary kind of always looks for him in the red zone. He's got a couple touchdown catches, and he really wasn't a name we were thinking about at the beginning of the year. And he seems to be, Leary seems to look for him a lot.
Yeah,
that's a great pick. I think I'm going to highlight what you just said. I think it's a great pick because remember going into the season, one of the question marks State had offensively was you've lost Kerry Angeline. What are you going to do at tight end? So. True. Tootle has really stepped up. Dylan Pelham has really stepped up a lot too, but particularly Tootle. I think a guy that has impressed me, who I've seen like he's been kind of big time a little bit, has been. I'm kind of sticking the offense because you got me on that train of thought. Is Dylan McMahon? He's really played well as the right guard, I think, or the
left guard.
Left guard.
I think it's left guard.
So you see they want to run left. I know they got Icky over there and Grant gets center, but Dylan McMahon do you see some of these highlights? They slow it down on the games. You can kind of see it back. He's really out there running, and you can tell Icky's kind of rubbing off on him a little bit, and Grant's kind of rubbing off on him a little bit. So I like what I see out of Dylan McMahon. He's surprised me how good he is, much better than I think people thought. But on defense, surprised me. You could say like Derek Pitts or something like that because you didn't know what you had.
Well, here, let me give you my make, and maybe you might agree with it, or maybe it'll give you an idea of maybe who on defense. If you had asked me, I would have said Chris for sure. Because he's been a guy that not only has obviously gotten the ball often, but he's made some big plays for sure this year so far. Yeah. But if you had to ask me, and this is a guy that's not necessarily like leading the team in tackles or anything like that, but this is a guy who honestly I didn't think that we would see him much this season. But you've heard his name, here and there for sure, and that would be Davin Van. For me, because just because he's a true freshman, and because when you look at this defensive line and how it has Corey Durden, Savion Jackson, it has Terrell Dawkins, it has all these guys. Who would have thought that Davin Van coming in as a true freshman would come in, and play some pretty significant minutes, and overall do pretty well. So again, I'm not saying by any means like Davin Van's like a beast or but he's a guy that again, hey, he's obviously established himself that he's going to be a guy for the next 2 or 3 years that we're going to be hearing his name quite often.
Yeah, I'm gonna say another guy I'm gonna think of is not as much of a surprise as probably Davin Van has been, but you could argue it is Jalen Scott, the linebacker. I mean, he's been a lot of highlights for him, and he's kind of like right there. I don't know what his individual stats are, but when you've got Peyton Wilson who's out now, but you had Peyton Wilson, Drake Thomas, and Isaiah Moore, and he's still flashing. Like you still got another line. And you could argue he's flashing more than Levi Jones has. And Levi Jones hasn't played much because I think it's because Jalen Scott's looked pretty daggum good. So
and he's got that opportunity with unfortunately Peyton Wilson getting hurt, but it's giving him the opportunity.
But he's seizing it. And to me, it shows you there was some strong depth at the linebacker position because they're not even playing Levi Jones hardly. And they could as much as well as he did last season, but maybe Jalen Scott's just that much better, or they're very position focused on the linebacker course. So Jalen's specifically the guy behind Peyton. So we're going to play Jalen, and Levi's. I mean, I don't know, but
no, I'd 100% agree with Jalen Scott because again, I mean, that was one of the biggest things I feel like that Ohio State fans were really kind of talking about with the defense is, unfortunately, with CJ was Peyton going out, that now that depth that we were talking about that we had on the defensive side is now getting tested. Not necessarily that, now we're limited all of a sudden, but just like, okay, you're saying that we have all this stuff. Okay, well, let's see it. And so seeing guys like Jalen Scott jump in, seeing guys like a Davin Van jump in and do well. And again, because you still got guys like Daniel Joseph that are killing it. You still got guys like Drake Thomas, Isaiah Moore that are killing it. But to have guys that, if Drake Thomas or Isaiah Moore need to take a break or, need to jump out or whatever it is, and see guys like Jalen Scott and Davin Van jump in and obviously do the job and then some is a great thing to have. And I think that is honestly what makes you a championship team, or is a big piece of it. Because in the day, you can't have guys that play every single snap for the entire season. You have to have guys that can jump in, and because things happen. And so it's a great thing to see, not only for this year, even I would say, but even for the next year and even going into the next season. But again, it's an exciting time right now. But so one last thing I wanted to kind of ask you guys as we kind of wrap up here and I'll hand off to you. So I asked Michael last time. So what would you say is the one person that you would say, if we're going to win this game against Boston College, who needs to step up for this Boston College game?
Oh man.
You can even give me a position if you feel better about it. Maybe give me a position. Maybe
I don't know, Michael. Do you have one that comes to your mind right away? Maybe it gives me time to think about it.
Not right away. I mean, I'd say, D line. That's kind of a standard answer.
Yeah.
But they're still on their backup QB. If we can get disrupt their offense.
And they like to run the ball more than they like to throw it. I think so. That's somebody like Savion Jackson, somebody like that. Because you kind of know I'd tell you what. I think Savion's been quietly. He has been quietly one of the better players on the team, like on defense, because like he's not getting a lot of stats. You're not seeing, but he's making the plays happen for other guys. That's a good pick. I can't argue with that. I don't know how much they want to run the ball or throw the ball. Maybe like another a big game out of Jalen Scott. I don't know. I don't offense. I would say. I really want to see Thayer get back into the game a little bit because they haven't really hit the slot a lot lately.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
or they've been not particularly with Thayer. It's been you haven't seen much Rook. You have much of Rooks. You haven't seen much of Thayer. You've seen a lot of Amezi. You've seen a lot of Devin Carter. But it'd be nice to see that.
Well, because you've seen Thayer, but you just haven't seen him abundantly, maybe as much as you expect. But because really for me, honestly, the reason why I kind of asked that. So for me, I feel like Tanner Engel is a guy that has played solid this year, but I'm waiting for him to have that to have that big game, and I feel like that for this game where You got a guy like with Boston College. That, I mean, Dave Grossel's done a great job so far throwing the ball through over 300 yards against Clemson, and 2 touchdowns. And then you got, they have a guy named, Zay Flowers that, I mean, is a stud wide receiver.
North Carolina, from North Carolina.
And I mean,
whoever's covering him probably be a good choice too.
Well, so that's why I'm saying, you could easily say maybe a Shaheem, but let's be real. At the end of the day, Tanner Ingle is one of the leaders on the defensive side, and he is the leader of the defensive back core. And so I feel like that, again, he needs to make sure these, and I feel like he needs to make sure, but I think that he will get these guys ready. He'll get them focused. He'll understand the situation that at the end of the day, if we can keep them on the ground and force them to run the ball and force them to focus on running the ball, then that's a huge favor in our hands.
Make Roselle throw the ball against you, because I'm looking at his stats right now. He is averaging 2.7 yards per pass. I think that's right. Basically less than 3 yards. His longest pass is 19 yards and 2 touchdowns, and that's on 28 attempts.
Wow.
So he's not really throwing the ball. Their main guy is, as a running back, last name is Garwo. Or Jarwo, Garwo. He's got 5 touchdowns on the season, averaging basically 6.5 yards a carry. He's the guy. So your comment about the defensive line, and then I just don't see them throwing to Zay Flowers a ton. I mean, lock up Zay Flowers, but
sure,
dare them to throw the ball against you if they need it. That's what I would do.
Yeah. Well, thank you all again so much for tuning in. Really do appreciate all the support, and definitely, obviously this has been a, interesting, episode for sure, because obviously during a bye week, you don't have necessarily the last game to talk about, and, and fresh on the upcoming games to talk about. But, definitely, I think, this week in the ACC was exciting enough that, it was kind of cool to kind of talk a little bit about all that, but also to talk about this big game coming up against Boston College. So make sure, if you haven't already, please make sure to do us a big favor, hit that free subscribe button on our YouTube channels. It really helps support us and the channel, and we greatly appreciate it. But also, to make sure to check out all of our NC State content. Make sure to check out our upcoming episodes, as we got 2 very exciting episodes coming up here that you definitely don't want to miss out on. And make sure, if you haven't already followed us at Tuffy Talk Now on Twitter and Instagram, make sure to do that, especially so that way you make sure you do not miss out whenever we release the details on this giveaway in honor of Bougie High that we're going to be doing for the Carolina game for 2 free tickets. So make sure to not miss out. So thank you all so much again for tuning in. As always, go Pack, and hopefully we'll be talking a week from now, feeling great after a big win against Boston College. So that's the hope. Let's do it. Thank you all so much. Go Pack, y'all.